So we're in the process of adopting a 12-year-old. His name's Cameron. Little backstory on the situation. My wife and I have been married for like 4 years. We don't have any kids. And we got a call 2 months ago from her cousin and said, my child's going into foster care. My aunt can't take care of him anymore. Would you consider like watching him for a little bit or temporary guardianship while I continue to get on my feet? And so we stopped and thought about it and said, well, 6 months, that's not that bad, and yeah, we could do that for family. And so we decided, yeah, we'll do that. And we called like the social worker and found out that temporary guardianship was not an option. It was not a possibility because they were going to take away her rights as a parent. The father is in prison, and he will be there till like 2020, and so he's never really been in the picture. And Cameron, he's never really had like a stable home environment. My wife and I been praying about this for like 2 months. As soon as we found out about it, it was like immediate like prayer. Go to God with it, because what else are you to do with that besides pray, call on Him, because I think that's the easiest thing to do, is because you let it work out and He'll do what He wants, and He's gonna do what He wants anyhow. We went and met with a social worker, found out that only adoption or foster care were the options, and so we started thinking about what it would look like to adopt a 12-year-old, because we aren't even 30 yet, and we don't have any kids, so we've not really parented too much before. And so we kind of asking people to pray about it, praying about it, talking to family, and we were met with some resistance from family on it. So we decided, well, why wouldn't we do this? It's a family member who needs help. He's young. They actually asked him, the social workers asked him, if we put you into a foster care home or you get adopted, what do you want to see from this? He said, I want to see like a long-term home, like a place to stay. And they said, well, what's long-term to you? And he said, 2 years. And you think about it, 2 years is not long. Think about what you're doing 2 years ago, because it's such a short time. And for him to only stay at somebody's like apartment for like 6 months and then go to somebody's house for 6 months, or boyfriend's house to boyfriend's house, is just devastating. It just broke my heart when I heard that, and I thought, he's never had a good home to be raised in, and something we take all for granted so much. And so that was like the point in my heart when I said, I haven't found a reason why we wouldn't do this yet. Like, that's from like a love and compassion standpoint, thinking about like, we'll be fine, we can take care of him, and this is the right thing to do. This is something that Jesus would do. And He actually says, take care of the poor, the old, the needy, and so that's something we kind of felt compelled to do. It's kind of a long process, and we got to meet Cameron actually just yesterday for lunch. We got to meet him, and it went really, really well. He's a really good kid. I can't believe how awesome he was, considering some of the things he's experienced in his life already. And so the next step is going through like all the processes to adopt him, and it takes like 3 to 6 months. It's a ton of paperwork. I think it's easier to buy a house than it is to adopt somebody. And so that's kind of where we're at. My wife and I, we talked a lot about this, like over like a month and a half period before we made the decision to do it. And the same thing kept coming up, that we are able to do this, and no, we don't have to, but if you were a family member and you knew of a relative that could adopt you but chose not to out of like, you know, out of their own, you know, selfish ambitions, or that you didn't have anybody that would take you in, how devastating would that be to you? Like, how would you feel the rest of your life knowing that nobody cared enough to take care of you, that you got put into like a foster home? And so that was something I saw, just so much, you know, writing on the walls, just so much. And it wasn't so much a logical thing, it was more of like a feeling, like why that's exactly what we should be doing. It's kind of making me tear up a little bit. So so we're gonna have a 12-year-old. He's gonna be 13 this year, and you guys will probably get to see him around Stuco sooner or later.